A fighter jet lifts straight up from the deck of a ship in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. No runway, no pilot in the cockpit, just artificial intelligence making combat decisions in microseconds, faster than a human can even register what they're seeing. This isn't a concept video, it's already happened. In September 2023, an AI-controlled F-16 went head-to-head with one of the most experienced fighter pilots in the United States. Both aircraft were closing at nearly 1,200 miles per hour, passing within roughly 2,000 feet of each other during aggressive combat maneuvers. The result shocked everyone watching. The AI won every single engagement. Not once, not twice. 5 fights, 5 wins, 0 losses. And now that same intelligence isn't just flying test jets, it's being built into something far more disruptive, a combat aircraft that doesn't rely on air bases, never gets fatigued, and processes threats thousands of times faster than any human nervous system ever could. This aircraft is called the XBAT, and it's poised to redefine how air combat works. Shield AI, a San Diego-based defense company, has just revealed what they describe as the world's first AI-piloted vertical takeoff fighter aircraft. But what makes this truly game-changing isn't just that it flies without a pilot. It's the fact that it brings together 4 capabilities no combat aircraft has ever combined before. Vertical takeoff and landing, a mission range of roughly 2,000 miles, a full combat-ready weapons load, and an AI brain that has already proven it can outfly elite human pilots in real-world tests. The US Air Force has been tracking this technology closely, and they're not treating it as an experiment. They're backing it with billions of dollars in investment. In fact, former Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall personally flew aboard an AI-controlled aircraft last year. After experiencing its performance firsthand, he publicly stated that he would trust the system with weapons release decisions. That's not a futuristic prediction, that's a senior defense leader describing something that exists right now. So here's the real question. Are AI-controlled fighter aircraft the future of air dominance, or are we crossing a line that changes warfare forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. The speed advantage humans can't compete with. Let's break down why this actually matters and why it should deeply concern any potential adversary. It starts with reaction time. In a dogfight, outcomes aren't decided in minutes or even seconds, they're decided in milliseconds. That tiny window determines who survives and who doesn't. The very best fighter pilots on Earth, people with thousands of flight hours and elite training, can respond to a sudden threat in roughly 0.3 of a second. By human standards, that's astonishingly fast. But modern air combat isn't operating on human time anymore. The XBAT's AI doesn't think in fractions of a second, it operates in microseconds. To understand what that means, picture this. While a human pilot is still identifying what just appeared on their sensors, the AI has already processed the data, evaluated dozens of possible responses, selected the option with the highest probability of success, and executed the maneuver, all before the human brain finishes its first conscious thought. Frank Kendall described it bluntly. He said the AI responds in microseconds, orders of magnitude faster than any person ever could. In a supersonic engagement where 2 aircraft are closing on each other at incredible speed, that gap isn't just helpful, it's decisive. And this isn't theory, we've seen it play out before. In 2020, DARPA ran the Alpha Dogfight trials, a competition that brought together the most advanced AI systems developed in the United States. These systems were tested in high-fidelity simulated air combat, pushing them to the limits of maneuvering, targeting, and decision-making. The final matchup wasn't AI versus AI, it was AI versus a human pilot, an experienced F-16 weapons school instructor with the call sign Banger, someone whose job is to train other fighter pilots. The result was one-sided. The AI won 5 engagements to 0. Every fight ended the same way, with the AI achieving the firing solution first. What surprised observers wasn't just the speed, it was the behavior. The AI flew aggressively, using unconventional angles and maneuvers that trained pilots typically avoid because they're risky or counterintuitive. The system didn't hesitate, it didn't second-guess itself, it simply calculated the optimal path to a kill and committed fully. One engineer watching the trials noted that the AI seemed almost relentless, constantly repositioning itself to generate firing opportunities that human pilots wouldn't normally attempt. At the time, all of this happened in simulation, but that was only the beginning. Because in September 2023, this technology left the simulator and entered the real sky.
At Edwards Air Force Base in California, this technology moved out of theory and into the real world. 2 F-16s took to the sky. One was flown by a human pilot, the other was controlled entirely by Shield AI's Hivemind software. They executed aggressive, high-speed combat maneuvers, flying nose-to-nose at closing speeds exceeding 1,000 miles per hour, at times coming within roughly 2,000 feet of each other. This wasn't a scripted demonstration or a passive test. These were realistic air combat scenarios under controlled but demanding conditions. Inside the AI-controlled jet, a safety pilot was on board for emergencies. He never once touched the controls. The system handled every phase of the flight and every maneuver on its own, without hesitation or correction. And this is where the leap becomes truly significant, because AI doesn't just fly differently, it solves a problem humans never can: physics. No matter how skilled or experienced a pilot is, biology sets an unbreakable limit. During high-speed turns, fighter jets generate extreme G-forces. At around 9 Gs, a pilot effectively weighs 9 times their normal body weight. Blood is pulled away from the brain, vision collapses into a narrow tunnel, and consciousness can be lost entirely. This phenomenon, known as G-lock, has caused serious accidents and even fatalities during training, and it places a hard ceiling on how aggressively any human can maneuver an aircraft. The XBAT has no such constraint. It doesn't suffer blood flow loss. It doesn't experience oxygen deprivation. It doesn't fatigue after repeated high-stress maneuvers. The aircraft can sustain continuous 4G turns indefinitely, without degradation, while simultaneously making thousands of precise micro-adjustments per second to maintain the most advantageous position in a fight. And physical limits aren't the only barrier AI removes. There's also fear and stress. Human pilots are among the bravest individuals on the planet, but fear isn't weakness, it's a built-in survival response. When an enemy aircraft is closing head-on, adrenaline surges, heart rate spikes, and fine motor control subtly degrades. On their own, these effects are small. In combat scenarios where outcomes are decided in microseconds, they matter. AI doesn't experience any of this. Its decision-making remains perfectly consistent, whether it's a routine training sortie or an active combat engagement with missiles inbound. This advantage isn't limited to US testing. Chinese military researchers have published results from their own real-world evaluations, placing an AI pilot against a human in an actual dogfight, not a simulation. The engagement was over in 90 seconds. The AI won. Their conclusion was clear. AI systems outperform human pilots in reaction speed and are not constrained by gravitational forces, oxygen limits, or fear of personal harm. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Is this removing the warrior from the battlefield? Are we giving up something fundamental about American air power? Stay with me, because the answer isn't what you might expect. Before we go any further into how the XBAT reshapes military capability, I need to ask one quick favor. If you're finding this valuable, take a second to hit the like button and subscribe. More than 98% of viewers never do, and that small click makes a massive difference in helping us bring you more content like this. Thank you. Let's keep going.
Why the XBAT changes everything. This is where the XBAT stops being impressive and starts being revolutionary. And it's not just because of artificial intelligence. It's what happens when you combine AI with vertical takeoff and landing. Think about how the United States projects air power today. We rely on aircraft carriers. We rely on air bases with long, hardened runways. We rely on massive logistics networks to keep those locations operational. All of that infrastructure is expensive, limited in number, and increasingly vulnerable. The XBAT breaks that model entirely. The aircraft is roughly 26 feet long with a 39-foot wingspan, about half the size of an F-35. But its real advantage is how it operates. It takes off and lands vertically using a single F-16 class jet engine with thrust vectoring. No catapults, no arresting gear, no 10,000-foot runway. It launches straight up from a mobile trailer, transitions into forward flight, completes missions out to roughly 2,000 nautical miles, and then returns to land vertically on the same platform. Strategically, that changes everything. China has invested heavily in anti-ship missiles designed specifically to threaten US aircraft carriers. They've also developed weapons intended to disable air bases and crater runways. Billions of dollars have been spent trying to deny the United States the infrastructure it needs to operate modern air power. The XBAT makes much of that investment far less effective. These aircraft can be launched from container ships, from remote island locations, or directly from the deck of a destroyer. 3 XBATs occupy roughly the same space as a single traditional fighter, and they cost about $27 million per aircraft. By comparison, an F-35 costs well over $100 million. For the price of one F-35, you can field nearly 4 XBATs. Now imagine a carrier strike group that doesn't just deploy 60 manned fighters, but 60 manned fighters supported by 180 autonomous combat aircraft. At that point, the numbers alone become overwhelming for any adversary. But cost and scale aren't the most important part. These systems don't put American lives at risk. Every fighter pilot represents years of training and millions of dollars of investment. More importantly, their sons and daughters, husbands and wives, mothers and fathers. When we send them into combat, we're asking them to risk everything. The XBAT can take on the most dangerous missions: the first aircraft into contested airspace, suppression of enemy air defenses, deep penetration strikes where the risk is highest. And if one is shot down, we've lost a machine, not a hero. The aircraft can carry air-to-air and air-to-surface weapons internally to preserve its stealth profile. When stealth isn't required, it can mount heavier external payloads, including long-range air-to-air missiles and anti-ship weapons like LRASM. Strike missions, counter-air operations, electronic warfare, intelligence collection. One platform, multiple roles. All of it accomplished without putting a single American pilot in the cockpit for those high-risk missions. And here's something that should make every American genuinely proud. This technology is ours. Shield AI is an American company, founded by a former Navy SEAL and his brother. The Hivemind AI that powers the XBAT was built right here in the United States. It was tested on American platforms, developed for American forces, and it's already being used in real combat by U.S. Special Operations units. When China placed Shield AI on its export control lists, effectively banning access to Chinese technology, it wasn't symbolic. It was an admission. They recognized how dangerous this capability is when it's in American hands. Now let's talk about the combat record, because this isn't theoretical. Shield AI's technology is already proven on the battlefield. Their smaller autonomous drone, Nova, became the first AI-powered drone ever deployed for defense missions in U.S. military history. It was used by Special Operations Command for reconnaissance and combat support, an AI system capable of navigating buildings, mapping environments in real time, and sending intelligence back to troops without GPS, without communications, operating fully autonomously. Then came the VBAT, a vertical takeoff drone deployed in active combat zones. It's currently being used in Ukraine, providing real-world intelligence and surveillance in a live shooting war. The system has been operationally validated since 2019 and deployed across more than 15 platforms. This isn't a startup with slides and promises. This is technology that's already saving lives. The real secret weapon, though, is the Hivemind software itself. It's platform agnostic, meaning it can fly almost anything. It's been demonstrated on F-16s, VBAT drones, experimental aircraft, unmanned surface vessels, and even ground vehicles. In November 2025, Shield AI integrated Hivemind onto a U.S. Navy unmanned surface vessel in just 6 weeks, a process that normally takes years. And here's what makes Hivemind truly lethal in modern combat. It works in GPS-denied environments. If an enemy jams GPS, most modern weapons and aircraft lose navigation and precision. Hivemind doesn't. It relies on advanced sensors, computer vision, and machine learning to know exactly where it is and what it's doing, even when every signal is jammed. Against near-peer adversaries like China or Russia, that capability isn't optional, it's critical. The software has been trained through billions of simulated combat scenarios and refined across more than 100,000 flight-critical code improvements. During DARPA's test program, 21 increasingly complex missions were flown between December 2022 and September 2023, starting with defensive maneuvers, progressing to offensive tactics, and ending in full dogfighting scenarios. By the end, the AI was flying nose-to-nose with human pilots and performing flawlessly. But here's what matters most. This technology multiplies American combat power. China is building ships and aircraft faster than we are. They're producing more engineers and investing massively to close the gap. Systems like the XBAT are how we maintain dominance without bankrupting the country or sending more of our sons and daughters into harm's way. This is the American advantage: innovation, technology, and the warrior spirit combined into something our adversaries simply can't match. So what happens next? Shield AI is moving fast, remarkably fast by defense industry standards. The XBAT has been under development for just 18 months, yet it has already completed wind tunnel testing, engine trials, and radar cross-section analysis. Shield AI is targeting the first vertical takeoff tests in fall 2026, less than a year away. Full mission capability testing is slated for 2028, and based on their rapid development record, there's every reason to believe they'll meet it. If so, the XBAT could be fully operational by the end of this decade. Within 5 years, we could see these aircraft deployed on carriers, expeditionary bases, and islands across the Pacific, reshaping the strategic balance in one of the world's most critical military theaters.
U.S. military investment. The U.S. Air Force is already heavily invested. Shield AI has been selected as one of the autonomy providers for the Collaborative Combat Aircraft Program, which plans to operate autonomous fighter drones alongside manned aircraft. Meanwhile, the Navy is running a parallel initiative, selecting multiple partners, including Shield AI affiliates, to develop their autonomous systems. This isn't a niche experiment, it's the future our military is actively building right now. It's not just the US taking notice, allies are watching closely. The UK's Royal Navy recently requested information for Project Vanquish, an autonomous drone with sea-based takeoff and landing capability. Australia, the Netherlands, and other partners are exploring similar concepts. The XBAT positions American technology at the vanguard of this revolution, and when allies adopt comparable systems, they'll likely rely on American companies like Shield AI for the autonomy software backbone. The XBAT embodies American ingenuity. In 2025, the Pentagon issued an executive order titled Unleashing American Drone Dominance, acknowledging what's always been clear: America wins through superior technology, rigorous training, and the courage to innovate where others hesitate. The XBAT combines all of these qualities into a single platform. Strategic advantage and warrior support. Zooming out, this represents a new era in warfare, with America leading. Concerns about AI in combat are valid, and the military treats them seriously. But here's the key point. This technology does not replace our pilots. It empowers them. It handles split-second tactical execution, letting humans focus on strategic decisions. Picture a strike package entering hostile airspace. Traditionally, manned aircraft would go first to suppress enemy air defenses, the most dangerous missions, putting lives at high risk. Now, XBATs can lead the charge, absorb threats, overwhelm defenses, and open the way for manned aircraft to complete the mission with significantly reduced danger. This isn't replacing pilots, it's enhancing their effectiveness and protecting them. And make no mistake, adversaries are pursuing similar capabilities. China is advancing autonomous combat aircraft, and Russia is heavily investing in military AI. The difference? We're ahead and better at it. Hivemind has already proven itself in real combat scenarios, while others are still trying to simulate what we've already achieved. The XBAT isn't just a new weapon, it's a symbol of American ingenuity, technological leadership, and relentless determination. From its first vertical launch to the future combat deployments on the horizon, history is being made in real time. If this video gave you a fresh perspective on the future of U.S. air power, please hit the like button and subscribe for more insights into the innovations that keep our military at the cutting edge. Your support allows us to continue bringing this content to you. Thank you for watching, and God bless America's armed forces.